All right, so along the way, as I'm moving along the way, please, please, please drop your questions in the chat. And then, as Jonathan said, he'll come back to those questions and we'll answer those questions. You know, we want to run through this in a way where, you know, again, we get a chance to answer your questions. So Jonathan, please move to the next slide. So just a little bit about me. My name is Tamara Mon Louis. I've been in digital marketing for probably about 15 years or so. I have worked with large companies. I've worked with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. I've worked with Hilton Worldwide, all doing digital marketing and driving strategies and helping them to grow their revenue online. I've worked with a lot of other companies as well, but those are really the ones I think where I had the most impact and was able to really grow some large, really drive a lot of revenue, large revenue for those clients. Next slide. And so this is really just quick housekeeping. As he mentioned, the webinar will probably be about, I'll talk for about 20 to 25 minutes. It says 30 there, but we'll wrap and then make sure that we can answer your questions. We want to be able to answer your questions. That's the most important part here. And then of course, you know, feel free to drop your name in the chat, the type of business that you do, just introduce yourself. So as we're moving through, we can refer to you by name. And then I always recommend, because we're going to be providing such amazing tips for you guys, I want you to go to Facebook or Instagram right now, take out your phones and go to @Monivan Digital. Every day we're providing tips. We're really trying to move people forward in this new digital age. So, you know, listen to us, join us, follow us. So yeah, excellent. Next slide. All right, so these companies I talked to you a little bit about already, right? Hilton Worldwide, St. Jude, Pearson, and then I supported accounts like Dream Hotels in New York City and the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. So it was big marketing dollars, driving lots of revenue, using digital marketing at literally every channel. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Next slide. Awesome. So yesterday I was on my webinar, and you know, as we've been talking and seeing the shift in digital with COVID-19, what we're recognizing is that digital marketing is no longer an accessory. And what does that mean? For a long time, I think we all use it as a supplement to everything else that we were doing. You know, we probably spent most of our time focused on offline efforts, word of mouth, and all those things are great, but digital really wasn't, you know, the place that we were living in all the time. For my company, that's where we've been focused. Most of our meetings are online. Everything we do is 100% online. And now really adjusting in this new environment has been really easy for us. And so we kind of want to share with folks how you adjust in this new environment to understand digital marketing is no longer an accessory. Next slide. It really is at this point, I like to say it's the outfit of the day, right? So it's the full outfit. It's what you do. You have to think about your business in digital. You have to really shift your mindset. If you have a business that is a brick and mortar store, how do you think about that business in digital? What are you going to do from a digital standpoint to drive consumers to you, to drive customers to you? So it's really, really shifting your mindset and getting to that place where you understand digital is where things are. You know, we were talking to the YBTT team the other day when we were meeting about this webinar, and we understand at this point that things will never be the same. COVID-19 will come, it'll go, but what we recognize is how business will be done won't be the same, because we're finding that people are more efficient, they're working from home, we're finding that people are shopping more online, they're listening more online, they're educating themselves more online, they're working out online. So this quarantine time is really putting us in a place where we get to shift, and you know, by the time you kind of get back, whether it's 3 months from now, 2 weeks from now, these things are going to be a part of the fabric of our society, right? I think it takes about 21 days to create a habit. So the minute that we're in quarantine past that time, those habits are already built. So that shift is going to be really important for us to focus on. Next slide. So the digital marketing landscape. So when you think about the digital landscape, I think about the digital landscape. I think about how vast it is, right? You see here in this image, you see the ocean, that's vast, the mountains, the trees, you know, it's really a vast landscape. Next slide. When most of our customers, when you hear the digital marketing landscape, tell us what comes to mind. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, Jonathan, did we get the poll set up? Yes, I think,
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
put it
believe.
up.
Okay, cool. So there is a poll. So when you, and we have a few questions for you. So when you hear the digital landscape, what comes to mind? Is it social media? Is it analytics? Is it your website? Is it email marketing? What comes to mind for you? Or is it all of them, right? Well, when we talk to our customers, 9 times out of 10 times when they hear the digital marketing landscape, the first thing they're thinking is actually social media. Next slide. So this is actually, usually it's animated and we show the social media area at the bottom first. But in this instance, we're gonna kind of show you the entire landscape. So you get a clear idea of what we're talking about, right? So 90% of our time is sometimes spent in social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. But then we don't really focus our energies on the other pieces of the digital landscape, right? You have your website, you have paid media, which is also across social media, video, YouTube. You have SEO, which is search engine optimization. This is how people find you on Google. I'm sure you all use Google all the time. When you're searching on Google, you're not necessarily searching for a brand, you're actually searching for a service, right? If you wanted to get a haircut, you search for barbers near me. So at search engine optimization, Google is #1, right? We're always on Google. So are you optimizing your website or your digital marketing presence for Google? Email marketing. Email marketing is really, it's probably where people or businesses make the most revenue. Hilton Worldwide, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital always sent out emails to their customers, and they actually made lots of money doing that. Why? Because these people are already familiar with your brand. They know exactly who you are. They may have purchased from you before. So there's no barrier to selling them something, or there's no barrier to sending them an email. They said to you, here's my email address. I actually want you in my inbox at least once a month. And if sometimes they sign up to actually get more emails from you, right? So email marketing is where you get to connect with a customer who's already purchased from you and who is already familiar with your business. The other thing is a customer relationship management tool. That's really where you keep those loyal customers, you build lead generation with those customer relationship management tools. Then there's conversation marketing. Conversation marketing, because our consumers actually talk back to us. Before, when we were marketing to people, it would really be a monologue. Businesses would have a monologue and they would just talk at consumers. But now we're in a different place where we actually talk to the consumers, talk back to us, right? So they're giving us reviews, they're telling their friends about us, they're coming on, they're influencing our product, our sales, their communities. There's so many groups on Facebook, so many groups, so many communities all across the internet, and a lot of chats that are happening. So that's another way that you can get that brand awareness from people who've already purchased your product and really go deeper. We like to call those folks brand advocates. And then of course mobile apps, right? Just think about how many apps you have on your phone, how many you've downloaded, and then think about, as a business, if you already have an app, how people are utilizing that app. So that is all part of your digital landscape. But the most important piece in the middle is really the content and the analytics, because all these platforms and all these channels drive us back to data. The data is where we have the most information and where we can make the most changes for our business, because the data actually tells us the story. It tells us where our customers came from. It tells us what they're asking about. So what should we be producing next? What do they want to see from us? How are they searching for our business? Are there opportunities within search? So really and truly, I want you to start looking at the digital landscape as a full holistic strategy, and not just one isolated area, which is social media. Next slide. So one of the things we really wanted to focus on is how to identify gaps in your current online presence, right? And identifying gaps comes down to just asking yourself a few questions. Are you driving your consumers to make a sale or make a conversion? Where are you losing your customer in that process? Where are you losing them? Are you losing them at the top of the process, in the middle of the process, at the end of the process? How many people are you reaching on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis? Are you reaching enough people or getting your information, your product or your service in front of enough people so that they can actually, you can convert them and make them and create sales, right? And how many touch points before you close or complete a sale? I always like to tell my clients that it actually takes about 7 to 8 touch points before someone will make a purchase from you. So that's moving them through the process of brand awareness, becoming familiar with your brand, getting, consuming your information. Maybe you share a tip or a trick. They then consume that information. They build a little bit of, they're like, hey, I want to trust this person. Can I trust this person? Then they get to that decision place, and then they will move forward and either give you their email address or make a purchase from you. So it takes a little bit of time. Probably only 2% of the people that come to new sites actually make a purchase. And if you think about your user behavior online, you don't just jump in, you kind of go through the process, you take in a little bit before you make a purchase. So we really want to think about that in terms of helping you to identify your gaps. Next slide. So the big thing about identifying your gaps is identifying your gaps through your sales funnel. Now, what is a sales funnel? The sales funnel is each step that someone takes in order to become your customer, right? So I've mentioned some of this before. Awareness, that's the place where they're now like, oh, who is that brand? What are they doing? What did they do? That's where they become familiar with you. They come to your Facebook page, they come to your Instagram page, they follow you on LinkedIn, they come to your YouTube channel, they come to your website. Then they're showing a little bit more interest. They're saying, okay, cool, I want to know more about them. Then they make a decision. They make a decision to say, hey, let me give this person my email address, possibly let me purchase something from them, or maybe I want to read something from this business or this entrepreneur. And then they take that final action, which is your conversion that you want them to take. So going back to think about where you're losing them in the funnel helps you to understand, well, did I have enough touch points? Did I just talk to that person one time and then I never talked to them again? And talking to them from a digital standpoint, right? Maybe they saw your social media ad, maybe they saw your Instagram post that you boosted and they only saw that. They never came over to your profile, but how can you connect with those people who saw that ad and maybe watched it maybe 100% of the way? On social media, we can use something like retargeting. We can also use that on Google to say, hey, anybody who engaged or participated or looked at my ad, looked at it at 100% of the way. So if it's a video, you can actually tell that someone has looked at your video all the way through. Then you say, show those people maybe, something else, something that they can download. Show those people something about your brand so they can then take that first step to awareness, interest, and then moving them down the funnel. The other thing is, what if you have someone that you have an email campaign that you're running? You send over an email and that person gets to a place where they move all the way through your email and they say, hey, they're ready to put in their credit card. So they're in the process of buying, they're ready to make the purchase. If you have an e-commerce setup, or if you talk to that person and they're ready to make the purchase and it's just about you guys connecting, then what happens when that purchase doesn't happen? Did you have that person's email address? Can you then send them an abandoned cart email? Can you then send that person an email? How are you following up with that person who was so close to making a sale, showing every level of interest? How do you get that person back? Because one, they're already aware of your brand. They're somewhere down in that funnel and you want to be able to bring that person back. The other thing is SEO, right? So as I mentioned before, search engine optimization. We do it all the time on Google as users, but we want you to think about your business from that standpoint, right? People are searching for services. They're not searching for brands. So if you can't be found on Google, then you're missing an opportunity. As entrepreneurs spend 90% of their time on social media, but as regular folks, as we're looking for products and to consume different things, we spend a lot more time doing that on Google. Think about how many times you actually leave Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Well, YouTube is Google. It's actually the second search thing after Google. Think about how many times you actually leave that platform to go into Google to actually do the search and get the information that you need. The other thing is email collection and making sure that you have an email flow. So a lot of people collect email addresses, but then what happens next? All of those things are touch points, right? So if you get someone's email address, do you have an automated email flow that sends them an email saying, hey, Thank you for signing up. Here's the next step that we want you to take. Your email should really, really talk a little bit about what you want them to do next. And you're thinking about this from your sales funnel, right? The sales funnel, again, is the step that it takes in order for someone to become your customer. So identifying gaps in your business is identifying where are the gaps within my sales funnel and what should I do next. Keep in mind, people don't make a purchase or a sale the first time they meet your brand. They kind of need to warm up to you, right? They want to know who you are. They want to know a little bit more about you. Just think about the whole thing as a socially, right? Before they make that purchase, they need to know you. So keep adding questions to the chat and we'll get to those questions definitely shortly. Moving to the next slide. The other thing is how to identify new opportunities online. So identifying new opportunities online is all about data. 9 times out of 10 times when I talk to my clients, they're not looking at any data online. They're looking at data maybe offline, but they're not looking at analytics online. How many of you have websites and actually don't have Google Analytics set up on your website? If you have a website and you don't have Google Analytics, I recommend that you sign up for that today. The reason being it's free. Go to Google Analytics, sign up for it, add it to your website. What this will give you, it'll give you an overview of where people where are they coming from? Are they coming from Instagram? Are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from LinkedIn? Are they coming from somewhere else? Is there a referral site that's driving traffic to your website? So once you understand where people are coming from, then you can look at increasing that traffic and driving more people to your site. The other thing is with referral traffic. So if one specific website is driving more traffic to your website or to any of your other channels or platforms, is there an opportunity for a partnership with that website? You know, a lot of times when we look at analytics for clients, we sometimes see that, hey, this one URL has been sending a lot of traffic to the site. Do we have a partnership with them, or is this something that just happened? If it just happened, we then look at building a partnership with them because it means they're already sending traffic to your site. How much more traffic can we get from this referral website that's making a difference and helping to make sales for the business? Email marketing analytics. If you have an email marketing system, and you can get a lot of those for free. So Constant Contact is a great one. MailChimp is a great one to start off with. Those are all free in the beginning, and then you can move to a paid subscription. You want to look at the data, you want to look at your email data. You want to look to see, are people clicking on my emails? Are they reading my emails? So you could be sending emails out and people are not opening the emails. If they don't open the emails, what's the problem? The opportunity there is to change the subject line, because that's the first thing that you see when when you get an email, they see the subject line. So if they don't click, it means that they're not engaged with the subject line. Change the subject line. If you see people open the email and then they don't click on anything, do you need to move? Is something too low below the fold? Think about people and how they use their phones. So is it so far down that they didn't see it, they didn't scroll there? You know, our behavior has shifted so much. So there may be an opportunity for you to move that call to action up to the top, so that when people get there, they're able to take that action, see that action first. Make everything intentional. The actions and the goals that you want them to achieve, think about that when you're setting up your email, so people actually take those, people actually move through the process of your sales funnel the way you want them to. The other thing is a great easy way to identify new opportunities online is through questions, comments, and feedbacks from your customers. They are sharing information with us. They're asking us for things that they want, doing surveys, sending them information and asking what they're looking for. How can you add value to those customers? Really gives you a new way to think about opportunities, a new way to see, hey, should I produce a new product? Should I partner with someone that may have something that is complementary to my product and then add additional value for that customer? The other thing is social media analytics, right? Looking at social media analytics to understand, what are these analytics saying to me? Where are the opportunities within there? So next slide. Right now we'll jump into Google Analytics and take a look at how we identify opportunities online. So this is from one of my clients. They actually sell insoles. So one of the things we did in 2019 was we focused on growing revenue revenue from men, because we recognize, if you see the little blue box there, you'll see in 2018, men spent about $9,000, right? So we recognize that they just had a little bit of a higher price point than women at that time. So we wanted to focus in on those men. So we said, let's sell them multiples. My joke is that men are probably the easiest people to sell to, because when they love something, they'll buy it like in every color, right? They'll buy the same pair of pants in every color, the same shoe in every color, because they know that it works. And they don't think about the sales process the way women do, right? We're a little bit more, oh, let me share it with my friend, let me check this out. So we may take a few more touch points. So we were able to really focus in on men and increase revenue 90% year over year. But then take a look down at the women, right? Look at the female audience. They increased revenue 48% and we didn't do anything. So we didn't focus on them. So in 2020, what we recognize is we now have an opportunity to start really targeting these women and speaking to them in a different way that appeals to them, so that we can continue to grow revenue in that segment. So we're looking at really taking our marketing and segmenting it, speaking to men and women differently to drive and grow revenue. Next slide. So I know a lot of us are on Instagram, and this is Instagram Insights. If you have a business page set up on Instagram and you're not using the insights, this is the perfect time for you to start doing that, right? Sometimes Instagram is the only platform that you're working with. If that's the only platform, you have to look at the data to understand what the data is telling you and to really see where the opportunity is. So if you'll take a look here, what you're seeing is top locations. The top location is New York, but then look at Los Angeles. It's a top location, but there's definitely opportunity to grow followers and grow the base of people in Los Angeles to get that to a place where it's fully fleshed out like New York. The other thing is, if you look over at the age groups, what you can see is the people that are 35 to 44 are absolutely the target audience. There are a lot of the followers, but there's opportunity within the segments of 25 to 34. There's opportunity within the segments of 45 to 54. Think about, what does 25 to 34 look like in Los Angeles? And how do you now start targeting those people in those specific areas? So no matter where you are, once you have these insights, you can really look to see, this is where I am right now, but I want to flesh out this new market. How do I do that? Do I add new hashtags that are focused on a specific area? Do I add new hashtags that's focused on a specific country? So Monivan Digital, for instance, we operate both in North America and in the Caribbean. So what we do is we focus on hashtags that are Trinidad specific. We focus on hashtags that are Caribbean specific. As we look to start growing our audiences across our platforms, we then look at our hashtag strategy, because that's the first thing that we do before we look at a paid initiative, right? We look at our hashtag strategy, and then we also look at how we're engaging with folks outside of our platforms to really make sure that we're hitting the people that we want to come back to our pages, right? We're always looking for our target audience. Having likes and follows from people that are not your target audience really does nothing for your brand. All it does is it takes your engagement down, and you really want to be in a place where your engagement on social media is really, really high, and you have people that are in your social media that are following you or liking you that are actually people that you convert and move them through your sales funnel. The other thing here is there's an opportunity, strong opportunity to increase gender, right? So 64% of the people that are on this profile are women. So we still have a strong opportunity for men. They're 36%. So it says that there's really an opportunity for us to look at men. And then if you want to marry any of these stats together, can we look at men ages 45 to 54 and growing that audience and really focusing in on that? Right? So that's how you take analytics across Google, analytics across Instagram, and any other channel you have. If there are insights, you want to take those insights, look at them to see where can you find those opportunities. Next slide. How to identify the best channels and platforms. So people ask us all the time, should we be everywhere all the time? Absolutely not. If you can, great. You can be on every platform, every channel, and you can sustain that. That's amazing. If you can't, and we're a digital marketing agency, and we at times can't sustain being on every platform or every channel, right? So what you need to look at first is your target audience there? If you really understand who you're looking for who's your target audience, ages, where they live, their income, then you need to identify, are they really on Instagram, or are they on LinkedIn, or are they on Facebook? And that's the place that you really need to decide, first of all, that's where I should be. My target audience is there. This is where I should connect with them. The other thing you should consider is, do you have a budget? So if you have a budget, it helps to increase, you can do additional promotion, you can boost posts, you can do social media advertising to drive more people, the right target audience. So that makes the world of a difference, right? If you can use Google paid search if you have a budget. If not, then you might just want to focus on SEO, or you may want to focus on channels that are just 100% organic if you don't have a budget. The other thing to consider is, do you have the internal resources? Because each channel takes a lot of work, right? That is the reality. When you are focused on a platform or a channel, it takes a lot of work to engage, to grow the following, to build the following. So do you have the internal resources to handle all the platforms or channels out there? Or do you have the internal resources to handle one or two of them the right way? Now, when I say the right way, that means that you're utilizing those platforms to 100%, right? A lot of times I hear people say, hey, I tried it, but it didn't work for me. I used Instagram, didn't work for me. I used Facebook, it didn't work for me. And my question to them is, well, were you using it to 100%, right? Were you fully utilizing the platform? So let's take Instagram, for instance. There's Instagram TV. Are you adding videos that are longer than a minute, posting it on your profile, and then moving it over to Instagram TV? Because people come to your profiles and then they go take a look at Instagram TV. So if you're not using Instagram and Instagram TV and Instagram is your channel, you're not fully using that channel to 100%. Are you utilizing stories? If you're not utilizing stories, not 100%. Are you utilizing your profiles? Are you doing lives? So the question becomes, it's not that the channel isn't working for you, it's that you're not fully utilizing the channel to 100%. There's opportunity for you to really utilize those channels all the way and get the most from them. So hence the reason it's okay for you to have two channels that you're saying, hey, I'm utilizing them to 100%, and I'm seeing the outcome, I'm seeing the changes from that. And then, is that platform or channel driving you revenue currently? So if you have a website, if you have Google Analytics, you should have a clear understanding of if a channel is driving you revenue. As you go through, you'll say, hey, a lot of my leads come from Facebook, and then I'm able to convert those leads into sales. Or maybe a lot of them come from Instagram, or some of them come from LinkedIn, or they come from YouTube. If that channel or platform is currently driving you revenue, then absolutely it should be something that you focus your energies on. And those are the channels that you should really say, yes, it's driving me revenue, so let's see how I can maximize and get the most revenue from it by, again, 100% utilization of the channel. Next question, next slide, next question. Measuring, tracking, and using data. So this is the most important part of it, right? You have to measure, track. So I talked to you about Google Analytics before. I showed you the Instagram insights. How are you utilizing data to make decisions? Well, the first thing is establishing your benchmarks, your baseline numbers. How much revenue are you driving on a monthly basis? So let's say, for instance, 70 of your customers are driving you maybe $10,000 worth of revenue. So you understand, on a month-to-month basis, I serve 70 customers. Those 70 customers drive me $10,000 worth of revenue. As you're looking at revisiting your goals, you want to say, all right, I'd like to increase revenue. Maybe, let's say I want to increase revenue by $5,000 to $15,000. Well, then it's really looking to understand, those 70 people drive me $10,000. Well, what do I need to do? How many more people do I need to get to $15,000, right? So you probably need another 35 people to get you that additional $5,000. Well, that's not how many people you need to reach. That's how many people, that's the benchmark, but you probably need to reach more people. So you probably need to reach about, let's say you need to reach about 7,000 people on a monthly basis, because when 10% of them convert, you get that 10% to be 70, right? So it's looking at the numbers. And when I say reach and reaching 7,000 people, it's reaching them across all the channels and platforms that you're using. So looking at Instagram, coming back to say, hey, my post was able to reach, looking at the insights, my post was able to reach 2,000 people. On Facebook, this was able to reach 3,000 people. On LinkedIn, I was able to reach 4,000 people. When you add those numbers up, you have a clear understanding of how many people you reach, then to get your 70 people to get your $10,000. So it's really the same thing with getting those additional people. You have to increase your reach. And then you have to, it's a little bit of a game you have to play, right? How much do you need to increase your reach by? It's not one-to-one, because the law of diminishing returns always steps in. So it may be that you need to increase your revenue or increase your reach by, let's say, maybe you need to reach 14,000 people to actually increase revenue to $15,000, because the more people you're reaching, the chances are less people, conversion rates tend to go down at that point in time. So it's just a matter of kind of playing around with the numbers, testing it out to see, I increased reach by this amount and this is what I saw. So this is where I need to be. These are my benchmarks for my new goals. And once you understand those benchmarks, those goals, really it's just about, again, those conversion ratios, right? Next slide. So I've talked a lot about KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators, right? These are the metrics. This is the data that we're talking about. So we talked about the sales funnel, driving them down the sales funnel to get them to a place where they convert, that take the action that you want them to take. But what is the KPI and what does the data mean? What are the metrics? So for instance, with Google Analytics has engagement metrics called time on site. How time on site works, you can actually tell when someone comes to your website and if they spent about 2 minutes or more and how many pages they've gone through. So if someone comes to your website and you recognize that most people that make a sale come to my website, spend 2 minutes on my site, and they go through 3 pages, you understand that those people who spend 2 minutes and go to 3 pages are potential customers. Then we can do something like send those people who didn't make a purchase but took that action, we could probably send them a retargeting ad. So those retargeting ads are the ads that follow you all over the place. You leave a website and they start following you. So there are options for you to engage with those people that way if they didn't take the action that you wanted them to take. Bounce rate. Bounce rate is something that you'll also see in Google Analytics. Bounce rate tells you if someone came to your site and stayed or left right away. It tells you if the bounce rate is really high, it means that when they come to your site, from whichever way they come to your site, if they came there directly, if they came there from an advertisement, from social media, from LinkedIn, from wherever, however they got to your site, did they stay? If they didn't stay, it means that they weren't engaged. This is not what they thought it was. So you need to start making changes there. So the data starts talking to you. Traffic, the amount of traffic that comes to your site, the amount of time they spend on site shows that interest and engagement. Likes, when people come to your social media platforms and they like you, I like to say that likes are a vanity metric that shows engagement. It tells you that this person is now aware of your brand. How much they're aware of your brand, you're not 100% sure, because remember now with business pages, only about 10% of the consumers actually are seeing your post at any given time. So it's really understanding how much do they know about my brand? Do they know more? So that's where you need to continue to post so they can be all engaged. Follow, same thing, it's a vanity metric. Where you really want to be is moving people down your sales funnel to your website, to downloading something from you, to actually consuming your information. Tips, tricks, videos. When people spend time looking at the information or reading the information that you've provided for them, that's exactly what you want them to do, because they're now looking at you as an authority figure in the industry. They're spending time looking at your information. So you want to get them to move them from a stage of brand awareness to them consuming your data before they actually become a customer and make a purchase, right? So it's brand awareness, data consumption of information, your information, and then moving them to a place where they make that conversion or sale. Signups, email, always king. So email is one of those things that you should be asking people for their email addresses so that you can continue to communicate with them. It definitely works. It's an engagement tool, and looking at the email analytics really helps you to tell what your customers want to see, what they're interested in, and again, getting that feedback, comments, all those things from them help you to formulate your next steps, your email newsletters, and what makes sense to add value to the customer. Then of course you want to look at sales. You want to look at conversions, right? Because now we want to start looking at how many people am I actually reaching and how many people am I converting? Because if I'm reaching a lot of people, but I'm not converting them, then the question comes back to, are these people that I'm reaching my right target audience? What do I need to do to shift to get them to my right target audience? Are they spending the time on site like my right target audience does, 2 minutes, 3 pages, or are they spending 30 seconds and 1 page? Then it's clear that person's not your target audience. So it's looking at the data, the KPIs, again, key performance indicators or metrics that make the most sense for your business based on those channels and platforms that you have. The other thing is click-through rate. Click-through rate this can tell you about ad creative. So if you're running any advertisement across Google, social media, if people click through, it means they're showing interest. If they don't click through, there's something wrong with the creative, the call to action, they don't know what to do, and that's where you need to start. So every metric actually tells you where you can fix the problem in your process of the sales funnel that you're moving people through. So the more you understand about your metrics, the more you understand your sales funnel and how those metrics tie back to that sales funnel, is the better you get at really creating and crafting the right message, the right promotions to drive your customers down your sales funnel. Next slide. So we got to the questions, please. Excellent. So we will move over to the chat now. I hope we have lots of questions in here, and we're happy to jump in and answer some of those for you.
All right, so we have a question from Cern. He says, the digital space has a lot of noise. What would be a strategy to rise above all the noise and stand out, especially now that there will be more focus on operating in the digital space?
Absolutely. I love that question. Such a great question. It's education, right? So what are you doing? How are you making the difference? What does your target audience want from you? It may be educating them. It may be providing tips. Give them value. Find something that adds value. Look at what you've given to your current customers in the past that added value for them, and then how can you add more value? Is it a PDF downloadable that they can utilize? Is it a video that you can create that tells them how to do something, right? Right now, what we're seeing online, people that have restaurants are cooking, they're doing cooking classes, right? And people are joining those cooking classes because it's fun. They're creating videos, they're doing all that stuff. But these people are also building, they're building a bond with their current customer base, as well as they're building, not just a bond, but they're also giving them value, because those recipes, they're helping them to cook during the day while they're quarantined, right? So think about it from that standpoint. Depending on what your business is, how do you add value? And that value is what moves you away from the noise. Next question.
So that's actually the only question we got so far.
Okay.
Okay. So it is said that Instagram is targeted to the younger crowd and Facebook to the older crowd. What are your thoughts on that?
If you're not on Facebook, you're missing out on people. That's my thought. My thought is that Facebook and Instagram are both owned by Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are all owned by Facebook, right? So Facebook is where chances are the people on Facebook spend more money. They're older, right? So their jobs, the demographic, are they the right demographic for you? Instagram is definitely a younger audience, but does that younger audience have the revenue to make your sales, to buy your product, to buy your service? While you can be building those younger audiences into your pipeline, so creating pipelines for later on and getting them through the funnel for them to understand your brand, it's really, once you understand who your target audience is, it's about being in that right place. And I have a client who has a business. I think she's 23. She's 100% on Instagram. And yesterday we talked a little bit about moving over to Facebook. And it seemed like a little bit of a challenge in the beginning. You know, she didn't understand why. And then I just kind of started breaking it down for her. Facebook is still the place where the majority of the people are, right? So the younger crowd, older crowd, definitely, I agree with it, but it's your target audience. Where are they? And that's where you should be. And again, I think Instagram and places like that, TikTok, all those places are great places for you to start integrating and starting to get those people to know about your brand. Every digital marketer, I think Gary Vee, everyone's probably familiar with Gary Vee. He's on TikTok now, you know what I mean? So he's starting to cultivate newer audiences because 5 years from now, those people are going to be his customers, right? So it's building that pipeline of customers along with the current customer base. I hope that makes sense. Please respond and let me know if that answers your question. Next question.
All right, so the next question is, for those customers who are fearful about the economic future, how do we approach them? For example, general insurance buyers, motor, or property.
Oh, that's such a great question. So people that are fearful about the economic future is, I think it's a matter of, first of all, you need to be really empathetic and start the conversation off by understanding their plight, right? We are in it's crazy what's happening right now, but I think we start off with empathy and then you have to help them shift into a mindset. It's a mindset shift, right? Even though they're fearful. And now we're seeing we've had customers reach out to us that are panicked and they want to stop. So our customers fit into 3 categories at this point, right? We see people that are like, oh my God, no more, stop everything, I can't do it. You know, there's a pandemic. We have people that there's so much opportunity here. Let us take advantage of this opportunity. Let us move forward. And there are people that, because their product or service may be impacted by another country, they are just kind of like, hey, let's stay steady the course. They're all right in some respects, but it's about really starting to help those people that are fearful shift their mindset. So today I had a call with a client who wanted to stop. So I sent out an email probably 2 days ago saying, hey, here are 5 reasons why I believe we can't stop. We probably don't need to do everything we're talking about, but now there's an opportunity for you to become an authority figure in your industry and share information that nobody else is sharing, right? She got the email and she was just like, oh, let's jump on a call. We got on a call and we talked it through. By the end of the call, we were able to move her from a place where she's not stopping anymore. And we're getting her to a space where she's actually continuing with probably half of the contract at this point. Now, to me, that was a win. And she actually said to me, thank you for thinking about it this way. Digital is the new way, regardless of what happens tomorrow. If the pandemic goes away, this is how things are going to be done going forward. So I believe it's spending time, being empathetic to them, finding a strategy that can work for them, sharing that strategy and letting them know that you're thinking about each one of your customers in an individual way and really giving them the love to get them to that next place. You know, it's just a mindset shift. I hope that answers your questions. Please let me know if you have any more. Next.
All right, so the next question is, how can you ensure, okay, so for that question, the person just responded, and Janice, she said that you did answer the question.
Awesome.
So our next question is, how can you ensure that your page, etc., is listed higher when people search for your services, let's say like on Google?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So that's really search engine optimization, right? So SEO, that's where you optimize your website for those keywords. So what you want to do is Google actually has a thing called Keyword Planner. And there are a few other keyword planners that are online. They're all free tools. What you can do is you can have a clear understanding of how people are searching for your service. So say, for instance, one of the clients we worked with and we did SEO for in Trinidad, actually, Azalea Health Services. So we did their SEO. And one of the things I had them optimize them for was best gynecologist in Trinidad. And now they rank for that. It took about 3 months for it to happen, but we understood that there were people searching for that. So Google gives you an overview of how people have been searching in your country. So if you're doing business in the US, if you're doing business worldwide, you can have a clear understanding of how people are searching in that country. And then you take those keywords and you optimize your website for those keywords. So there's a lot of technical backend metadata. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that the keywords show up in the back end. It also shows up in your content. And you also, if you have a brick and mortar store, you want to focus on Google My Business listing. So Google My Business for brick and mortar stores is really the #1 tool that you should be tying with any of your SEO, any SEO that you're doing. Google My Business, you get to, if you have a location, you actually get to put up a page where you can share information about your dates, times. That actually shows up first when people search for your service. You add keywords there, you can add images, you can add posts there like you're adding on social media, and then you can get people to give you reviews. What happens with Google is Google's all about relevance. So they actually start showing you, they show people that search, they show them the reviews first. So it's important to leverage that conversation marketing, get people to fill out those reviews on Google My Business, and then that helps you rise to the top. So it's really about the keywords. If you're a brick and mortar store, then it's about utilizing Google My Business listing all the way through. And I think that's how you start ranking. The other option is, if you do have a budget, leveraging paid advertising. So Google paid advertising, so that you show up first. And that's a great way to supplement while you're building your SEO strategy out, because again, it takes 3 to 6 months for an SEO strategy to go full force where you're showing up first. But the Google My Business listing helps. And for those in the Caribbean that have brick and mortar stores, with Google My Business listing, you actually have to make a phone call. You actually have to have it mailed to you. I'm sorry, in the US, you make a phone call to give you a code. In the Caribbean, you have to send them, they will send you, if you fill it out, and then they will actually send the code to your house, or to your business, I should say, and then you're able to add that code and optimize and set up the Google My Business listing. Let me know if that answers your question.
All right. So, well, the next question is, do you have any tips for starting an e-commerce website for the TNT market?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the biggest barriers in the TNT market is getting the banking piece, right? So for e-commerce websites, well, I guess my other question for you is the business operating in TNT only, or is it operating outside and in the US and looking to send there? If it's just TNT specific, the problem is the banking piece, but there are ways. Okay, got it, perfect. So it's TNT. So the banking piece, actually, you can, once you get that worked out, one of the companies in Trinidad that we work with that's doing a really great job with e-commerce is Destination TNT. So they actually have a lot of, they sell tours to places like Gaspery Caves. So they do a lot of purchases online, and people in Trinidad, or locals, are buying online. So the first step is understanding the best platform for you, which could be something like a Shopify, because Shopify is already set up in a way where the functionality is there. They know what works, so it's all best practices. And then once you get the banking piece set up, then you should be in a really good place. And then it's leveraging TT Post to get people in that mindset of, hey, this will come to you via mail. One of the things with e-commerce in Trinidad is education. So I mentioned the gynecologist to you. So she has a bit of e-commerce because her bookings happen online. So because websites have been, they're not necessarily the best in Trinidad, they're getting better. The trust is low. So you have to do a lot of building to say, this is safe, this is convenient, you can do this, you can buy this online, and really getting them to that place. So understanding that because e-commerce, it's becoming more and more, people are buying on Amazon, but they're just not necessarily buying in Trinidad. So doing some education to get them to a place where they feel comfortable. But again, I think looking at places like looking at Shopify, and then one of the partners that we have that we work with in Trinidad, Site Factory, they're really good at e-commerce sites. So feel free, if you, I'll share my email address. If you are looking to build that out, I'd be happy to have you have a consult with one of the lead developers there. He'll definitely talk to you about it and give you some advice.
Thank you, Tamara. We have another question here. For brands that don't have a tangible product, such as bloggers and writers, how can we create and build brand recognition, since it won't be looking for sales necessarily, but more following and the resharing of content?
Yeah. So you have a tangible product. It's just education, and you're repurposing content. So I think that's even better. I think there you have an opportunity to really focus in on personality and authenticity. And I know that word authenticity is used to death, but really stepping out to build that engagement with folks and sharing what they need, right? It comes back to, if I could get value, I'm going to go there, right? So what value you're providing with the content that you're that you're sharing, right? What are you blogging about? Who's your target audience? Who are your readers? You know, it's like a mommy blogger situation, because, you know, the mommy bloggers, they're the perfect example of just taking off and not necessarily having a tangible product. But what they did was they built a base of people that now people with products can actually go to and say, hey, could you, you know, and they pay them to then advertise for them, influencer marketing, right? So looking to build yourself as an influencer is great through blogging and through writing, but it's key. Who's your target audience? Who do you want to read your information? What action do you want them to take? You want them to come back and read again next month. It's definitely going to be about the value that you share with them, and then building that follower, and then looking to see how you can add more value. So partnerships with businesses, partnerships with new businesses. I always tell my customers all the time, is they're looking for influencers, before they go to the influencer who has, you know, 200,000 followers and they have to pay them like $500, why not go to an influencer or someone who's building an influencer brand who has maybe 900 followers, but 900 engaged followers, or 500 really engaged followers, and start partnerships with those people. So a great way for you to do, for something that would be great, would be for you to look at businesses who are also in that come up where you are, and then starting to highlight what they're doing, or highlight their service, or highlight, you know, again, what that product is. If they make, if it, I don't know, one of the people we're mentoring right now, they have a gluten-free pancake mix. So, you know, that's something, if your target audience is in that lane, then maybe having a cooking show, or where you show the gluten-free pancake. So adding value and getting products in front of those people along with what you're writing can also help, right? So looking for partnerships that make the most sense. If you, okay, next question. Sorry, I'm starting to read questions. I didn't want to go out. I don't want to go out of order. My apologies.
Thanks so much, Tamara. The next question is, if you update your Google SEO, does the ranking take 3 to 6 months for the Caribbean as well, or would it take longer?
Well, actually, so the Caribbean is sweeter. It depends on where you are, right? So if the country in the Caribbean is not optimized, if they're not SEO savvy, and a lot of countries are just starting to focus in on SEO, then you have an opportunity. So 2 years ago, when we worked with Azalea Health Services, no gynecologists or doctors were really doing search engine optimization. So we had an opportunity to get the best words and start ranking for them very quickly. So I think ranking 3 to 6 months, sometimes in the Caribbean, could actually be faster. But I still like to give that industry standard gauge, but it could definitely be faster.
Great. What about stores that are interested in selling handmade items from Trinidad to the Caribbean or even US markets?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, it's about raising visibility for your product and service, right, in the US markets. I think it's about the platforms that you look at, right? So is LinkedIn a platform for you? Because that really takes you international. Another person I was mentoring, Jamila Bannister, she just wrote a book, launched it yesterday, called The Brand Print. And she had like this digital party, and she had so many people internationally, as well as from Trinidad, on her digital book launch, talking about her book. She's been able to build an international network leveraging LinkedIn. So if you have handmade items, I think first of all, it's about talking to the quality of the items, letting people know that it is just as great a quality as whatever brand you're comparable to, right? So for instance, I know like sometimes I get leather products in Trinidad where I'm like, oh my God, this is like Gucci, right? Or, you know, my brother took me to this guy's house who was literally making snakeskin shoes from the snakeskin that he got, you know, from the hunter so it was like this whole story. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this product would sell for X amount in the US. So it's understanding what you're comparing yourself to, and then starting to get yourself out there by leveraging, again, if your market is 100% Trinidad and you're on Instagram, how do you get people in the US? Maybe it's starting off with the diaspora, right? Maybe getting them, because we all know the type of quality of product that you can get there. So starting off with people in that diaspora who live in those countries and getting your product in front of them, building the awareness, building the service, and then starting that communication where you can start selling products over there. Make sense?
Great, thank you so much, Tamara. And we're getting a lot of feedback already in the chat from the participants, expressing how insightful and how great the content and the information that you provided has been.
Oh, awesome. We love that. We
Yes.
love that. Yeah, any other questions? We do actually have I think I may have shared it with you. So we do have a recommendation sheet that I'm going to drop in the chat right now. What did I do? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Okay, great. Very soon. So I'm going to drop this in the chat, and so you can actually sign up. I asked my team today to create a downloadable. So some key recommendations, some things that we recommend that you do while we are, while we're in this COVID-19 that you continue to do. So feel free to download that. We do ask for your email address, and then you'll get an email with the downloadable link. But it's just some quick recommendations that you can utilize for the business.
Great, thank you so much again, Tamara. It has been a great webinar. As we could already see from the participants, they really have enjoyed it.
Awesome.
And thanks to all the participants for joining us. We will be forwarding a feedback form to you all via email, so look out for that. And feel free to join us next time on our webinar series.
Oh,
Just to give you a little
one
insight.
last thing. I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
one last thing. I do want to, just in case anyone wants to set up a time to talk with us, I will also put my booking calendar in the chat. So if anyone is interested, they can definitely book some time with us, and we can answer a few more questions. We do we do a 20-minute consult for no cost, of course. So feel free to sign up for that. We can do a consult, answer a few more questions, and we can definitely also share about our products and services. So I'll put that in the chat. So go ahead, Jonathan. I'll put that now.
Great. And I could always include it in my emails. They will also have it there as well.
Awesome.
And just to give you all a little insight into the next webinar, we will be taking a look at how COVID-19 is actually affecting you personally, and we look at the questions that you should actually be asking